Hi, I'm Neo from Neo Curiosity. This series, if you will, it will be a bit different format. And there's a couple of reasons why actually. Stay tuned for that at the end. So I dropped out of school last year, 2020. Or more frankly, I failed to the point that I had to drop out because, in all honesty, I couldn't take it anymore. And I became immensely disinterested in the educational system. And even worse than that, I was watching myself creep into the depression. Of course, unbeknownst to anyone or everyone around me, and funny enough, gladly so actually, creep is an underestimation. I was thrust into depression. So I was studying graphic design in school. I realized I was learning a substantial amount of what I was waiting to eventually be taught in class by myself in my own time. I guess that makes me a retard and so forth. But anyway, fuck that. While all this was going on, I began considering YouTube amongst other things. I started a wooden watch business, and business in quotes. It's not registered yet, and I'm still trying to figure a lot of it out. But yeah, I went out of my way to look for that avenues outside what would be expected of what I should be doing, and decided to do that. And in the onset, as I conceived and developed these ideas, and as I was trying to navigate what going outside the parameters of the traditional system, that is school. At first, I thought I could pursue them simultaneously. You know what I mean? I thought I could do all these things, just bare school, because it was becoming a pain in the ass. So I was like, okay, how about I just not bat an eye, I just go through with it, get it done. And but so much for that, because here we are. So I figured I could bear school and simultaneously pursue these ideas like YouTube, for example, because I was living with my parents. I had the privilege of doing that, and because of that, I didn't have to bother about external pressures like rent and all that stuff. After all, there are a lot of YouTubers, for example, who are students, who are running their YouTube channels. So maybe that seemed viable to me. But yeah, school I was gonna die if I continued doing that. The longer I stayed there, it was really getting worse. I don't know about you guys, but after high school or secondary school, as we call it where I'm from, I asked myself, hey, you've been going to school for about 17 years? You're not a bloody illiterate. And to give credit where is due, I guess, it has exposed me and others alike to some extent to certain ideas and whatnot. But I was talking to myself, saying, you're basically on the same level as everyone. It hasn't, aside making you able to maybe read and discern certain ideas and maybe sprinkle a bit of history and grammar here and there, it hasn't really bettered me as a person. That I am not any more functional than the next person after the fact. I'm thinking about this, realizing this. I'm also becoming more aware that most of what I know, for instance, is from my own curiosity to search outside the confines of the matrix, if you will. So I'm still thinking to myself, I'm asking myself, what exactly are you trying to do here? Well, I unlike most people, I've always known what I wanted since I was about like 14 or 13, something like that. I'm an artist at heart, and I want to create in the artistic sense. And that's why I chose graphic design when I was in school. I chose graphic design because I draw well, and in graphic design what really counts is having a portfolio. So I was and have been working on building my portfolio. Anyway, before moving forward, I want to say a couple of things. If you are in a similar position to me, you dropped out maybe of your own choosing, or maybe you do want to go to school but couldn't handle the financial burden, or maybe you did something stupid or whatever and you got thrown out for some reason, or whatever might be the case. My message to everyone in a similar situation is, I want you to understand that there's nothing wrong with you. You aren't useless because you're unable to get a certain grade or adhere to certain standards, and you aren't dumb because you're here. And to you who wishes to still be in school, that is, it's not your fault that it's a debt trap, basically, at least largely in the West. We are just different. And I mean, for some of us, we're just different, and it does get better. I mean, we are just different, and it does get better. It's not like it's better for me yet, but I believe it will. I know chances are your parents or guardian are probably scolding and scorning at you for the madness that is this phase, let's call it. But just know they are concerned as parents. My parents were, still are. I'm concerned for myself and for you. Now, there isn't anything necessarily wrong with dropping out of school. It's unorthodox. It goes against a lot of societal norms. So it's still kind of like a stigma to it. And the stats are skewed. And sometimes when you're trying to assess, you find that when you look at statistics of what percentage of dropouts become successful, in most cases it doesn't account for a lot, because dropping out happens for a myriad of reasons, and I couldn't tell you, because I don't know the numbers, what reasons are most common, if it's financial or maybe it's of the individual's choice or whatnot. But what I can tell you is what's most important for us right now, for you, for me, is that we have a plan, because failure isn't an option. We can't prove them right, we can only prove them wrong. And by them, I mean everybody that thinks you're a joke, thinks that you dropping out is tantamount to you being a piece of shit, basically. Initially, when I dropped out, I was going to just get some job while trying to build some YouTube audience, build my portfolio by doing side projects, doing other stuff, refine my skill and stuff. But I think with the state of things, in my case, is best I'm not home. So I'm going to go to the Air Force. Your plan might be different if you are a high school dropout with nothing going for you, or college freshman out of your parents' house. I suggest, if you're a freshman out of your parents' house, I suggest maybe considering the military like me. If that's too much of a stretch for you, I would say you just have to take time out to refine what it is you're going to do next. You have to be realistic and practical, and that's a good start. So anyway, since I'm joining the military, I won't be able to post the kind of content I have been trying to post on my original channel, that is Neo Curiosity. So I started another channel called Rogue Academic. The name is inspired by this phase, or the state of things in our lives at the moment. And I wish you guys all the best, honestly. I hope you don't regret what you've done. And what I mean is, not saying that what dropping out is bad, but I'm saying that I hope that you take the appropriate steps. I mean, it was never an honest world, man. Never an honest world. Maybe my disappointment, or maybe disappointment isn't the word. Maybe is it fear? Anyway, I kind of realize there is a great deal of aptitudes that are lost to the educational system. I've lost many, and this is what is left. And you probably have, I'm sure. There were yearnings and curiosities and drives that were, something you're passionate about that has been eradicated from you. You don't have that anymore. Or if you do, it's not the way it used to be. For the majority of society, or at least the portion of it that's like us, they don't even realize the true cost of education. The true cost is this. It's taken from you the things you're passionate about, the things you love most. Perhaps that's the true cost of education. Who knows? Anyway, what do I know? I'm just a dropout now. But I believe that only greatness awaits you and awaits me. So let's do this. I'll see you guys soon. Subscribe, like, and let's get this show on the way. Be expecting more in the future. Drop a comment what you think. Is the educational system flawed in how I have represented it? And if anything, I want to add that this isn't necessarily an opposition to the educational system. This isn't to say that going to school bad, but it's to say that school isn't for everyone, and it's really not. So tell me in the comments. Let's talk.